Okay, we're going to do sight alignment and sight picture. Talked about all those fundamentals. We're talking about grip, stance, trigger squeeze. Now we're going to cover some sight alignment. This is that crappy organization, NRA. They make you buy all their BS just to certify you as an instructor, and then they want you to hijack people for their money. If there's other gun organizations, I don't support the NRA. I'm a certified instructor with them. I thought it was a joke, and I'll go over their class and I'll show you when we get into handling guns on how poor I think their training is and their organization. They might as well be the government. Trying to call and get to talk to somebody or trying to get any help over there is like trying to get in touch with the White House. So I'm not a fan of the NRA, so you hear me cracking on them. They just got too big. I'm sure when they first started it was great for safe gun handling. Now they just think they're too important and got too much clout and power. So I just don't like organizations that outgrow their usefulness, and I think the NRA is one of them. But anyway, this is their little poster that they tricked me into buying when I was in there, and it's a pretty good. It makes it easy for me to explain what sight picture and sight alignment is. Sight alignment. When you look down a gun, you're going to see the rear sight, that little square notch there, and then the front sight. Okay? So your goal is to line this front sight right in between this sight right here. And because I can't see on this it's hard to see. I can't see them on the screen. I think that's pretty close. But the idea is to have this sight setting right in between here. So you see this rear sight right here? That's what this is. This is the rear sight. So, if this is your rear sight, this dark black post is your front sight, you want this front sight and the rear sight with equal light distance between the two, centered, and level across the top. Okay? That's called sight alignment. Basically, you're aligning your sights. So you have your rear sight and your front sight, and if you have that, wherever this front sight is pretty much what you're going to hit. Okay? Now, sight picture, and again these are kind of technical terms, but just so you have terminology in case I use one of these. Sight picture is your sights aligned, front sight in between the two rear sights with equal space and level across the top with your target behind it. Now when you're focusing on this gun, one of the hardest things to remember is the front sight has to be clear. You can't focus on different things at different distance and have them all clear. You just can't do it. If you try to focus on this rear sight and front sight, one's going to be fuzzy and one's going to be clear. So your goal is to always focus on this front sight. Remember, I keep harping on this 5,000 times. Muscle memory, developing instinctual so you don't have to think about it. Make things routine. This sight alignment and sight picture thing has to be done a lot so you don't have to think about it. When I pick up a gun, I almost instinctively, I don't have to think about lining up the sights. They just line up almost naturally because I know where they're going. I don't really have to think about it. Of course, I've been shooting, I've probably shot 100,000 rounds in my life between the military as in a shooting team and cops and training and going through instructor schools. You have to shoot a whole bunch of rounds. So I've got way too many rounds down range, which is why I can't hear and I got ringing in my ears. But anyway, that's another, I digress. Anyway, when you're shooting this sight alignment, this sight alignment is aligning the front and the rear sight together. And this is a rifle, a pistol, anything you shoot. Okay? The sight picture is the sight alignment in line with your target. And out of all these things, the rear sight, the front sight, and the target are in different locations. So they all three can't be clear. What people want to do, and it's natural, is they like to go from here to the target, back to the sight, back to the rear sight, back to the front, and they're moving around and jumping. That's going to make you miss your target. What you need to do is keep this front sight crisp and clear. That is your main focus. It doesn't matter what the rear sight and the target looks like. Even if they're fuzzy, and this is a real hard concept to grasp, even if they're fuzzy, you're going to hit your target. Okay? If I'm shooting at this little dot here on this X, okay, and I want to line this side up, I'm going to line up that front sight first, get that on that dot there as best as I can see. It may not be straight. I'm getting my rear sight lined up. and that's going to be my target right there. Boom. Okay? Front sight, rear sight, and the target. What's clear? This. The target's a little fuzzy and the rear sight's a little fuzzy. That front sight has got to be clear. So if somebody ever asks you, what do you focus on when you look at a gun and you look down the sights? Your answer should be the front sight. That's what I focus on. I see the rear sight is fuzzy, I see the target that I'm shooting at is fuzzy, but my front sight is always clear. When you're sitting around the house dry firing, like I told you in the other video, click, click, working on your trigger pull, smooth trigger pull, your front sight needs to be clear. You're training your eye. You're training your muscle memory and your eye to focus on that front sight. You're not looking at the little things you're shooting, you're aiming at it, and pretty soon it sounds like a hard concept, and the first few times it's a little difficult, but the more you do it, it just lines up very quickly when you want to line up your sights. Now see, I don't know, the camera's not where my eye's at, but right now I'm right on there. Let me try to look over. Okay, right now I'm on there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. But my sight alignment and sight picture, everything is good right there. So, sight alignment, sight picture. Sight alignment, aligning the sights. Your front sight fits right in between your rear sight with a level across. Now, what happens is sometimes people will have this low or they'll have this high. And when that happens, your bullet will go high. If this line, if their front sight is above this line, you're going to shoot high. So if this is my front sight and it's level, I'm good. If it's here, I'm shooting high. If it's here, I'm shooting low because it's not level. If it's here, I'm hitting my target. Well, Rick, what happens if your sights are off? Well, your sights shouldn't be off because once you get your sights aligned and you figure out when you can hit a target, you adjust your sights and you make sure your sights are aligned with your eye and everything else. So again, sight alignment, sight picture, not a real difficult term. It's a terminology that I want to be using, and when I say it, you have to know what I'm talking about. So when we talk about the fundamentals of shooting, remember we talk about grip when you grab the gun, your stance when you lock it out, you're pointing at your target. You're going to get your sight alignment where you align your sights. Then you get your sight picture where you get the target right behind your aligned or in front of your aligned sights. Then you work on your trigger control and you slowly squeeze the trigger till it goes bang. Okay, and in the middle of all that, you're thinking breathing, stance, forward momentum, etc. Sounds complicated, really isn't. Everything, you know, if it was easy, everybody'd be good at it. And there's some good shooters out there. But there's not a whole bunch of really, really good shooters. There's some shooters that can hit a target. But if you want to punch a hole in your target and you want to be a really good shot and shoot 2 bullets and have the 2 bullets meet each other in a target and they're touching each other, kind of like Robin Hood can split his own arrow, that's really good. A lot of people could shoot a bow and arrow. Not too many people can split their own arrow with their second arrow. That's what happens with shooting. You want to refine all these things we're talking about. All this mental preparation. Shooting is all mental. I got guys, I explain all this. I get them out there. They can do it. They can do it in a classroom. They can do it as long as I'm talking to them, as long as I'm stopping them. When they're pulling the trigger, I'm like, hey, easy, easy. Start over. Slowly squeeze. And I talk in their ear. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Steady pressure, steady pressure. Don't worry about it. Keep the sight lines. Keep the squeeze, squeeze. Bang! They hit the target every time. Then I go, okay, you try it. The next shot, bang, they miss the target. And they look at their gun. Like, dude, what's wrong with the gun? When somebody looks at their gun, that's an oh shit moment. Kind of like, I don't know what happened, so maybe it's the gun's fault. Shooting is about mental preparation, concentrating on all these things, doing all these things in the right order and in the right fashion so you get hits on the target. The goal is to hit what you're shooting at. Sometimes the goal is just spray and pray, put a bunch of guns down range and make the other guy duck to give you a chance to go wipe your butt because you pooped your pants. But most of the time when you shoot, you want to make sure you're hitting your target. Again, there's sometimes you're going to spray and pray. So, and I'm not endorsing or saying you should spray and pray, because then when you shoot somebody, you'll be like, well, Rick said on his video I should sue him. Yeah, hey, don't substitute my judgment for your judgment. If you do something stupid with a gun, it's your fault. Don't be using me as an excuse. I'm trying to educate you on the fundamentals. Your gun, your responsibility. If you go out and do stupid, well, whatever. I put a link, I made a web page. I'm just kind of starting it. I might add pictures or photos depending on how the discussion goes, and it'll grow from there. But right now it's just a basic page. It's got a picture of me when I worked in Vallejo at a police force with a horse, and it's on my website for my horse channel. So if you want to go review the rest of my horse website, you can do that too. All right? Sight alignment, sight picture. Practice it 5,000 times. Don't forget. Buddy Mr. T, you're good boys.